Welcome back to Scout Report. Today we're looking at how to make Arsenal top 4 contenders again. After over half a season of Mikel Arteta, the returns are mixed. The manager is seen as smart, innovative and always saying the right things. But whilst his time in charge has seen some special victories with wins over Liverpool, Man United, Man City and Wolves particularly pleasing, he's also seen some dramatic lows, including losses to Brighton and local rivals Tottenham. That derby defeat showcased exactly the problem, that no matter how clever your tactics are and how good your stars are, the weakest player in the lineup will always hold your team back. And with finances stretched, it's hard to know exactly what Arsenal can do to strengthen a squad falling further and further behind City, Liverpool and Chelsea. So today we're laying out our blueprint for not only reinforcing the squad this summer, but a foundation for long-term success at the Emirates. Move on from Xhaka. Despite what you might expect, we've decided to set central defence aside here. William Saliba and Pablo Mari have already joined the club next season, and frankly, the job in the backline may not be easy, but it seems fairly simple. Just buy better defenders. It's also worth pointing out that the Gunners almost certainly need to sell to buy in that spot, with 7 centre-halves on the books at present, not including Tierney and Kolasinac. Instead, we're looking at deep midfield and the return to prominence of Granit Xhaka, who, having endured a love-hate relationship with the Arsenal faithful, is now firmly back in their good books after sewing up a starting spot under his new boss. Xhaka has undeniably improved thanks to Arteta and become a key man in the midfield alongside Ceballos. He's also been helped by having Tierney to the left of him, and passing options around him have enabled the Swiss to demonstrate his excellent distribution without showcasing his defensive deficiencies. But those defensive deficiencies definitely remain. The 27-year-old wins possession just over twice per game at present, and whilst his passing is good, he struggles to get his feet set when under pressure and can't use his right foot, with under 14% of his pass attempts since he arrived at Arsenal coming from his weaker side. That makes him an easy target for pressing. Even if you think Xhaka is currently Arsenal's best midfielder, and that's not a totally unreasonable opinion, the fact remains that the team could only be so good with him in it. And whilst Nemanja Matic and Jorginho show that a limited player can still be part of a fairly strong side, even United and Chelsea fans would probably agree that they're upgradable players. Arsenal would surely be better off finding a younger man who can develop long-term chemistry with his teammates after 3 years of change and inconsistency in the club's lineup. If they can keep Dani Ceballos, they should, but at this point it seems clear that Arteta is not a fan of Guendouzi and is unconvinced by Torreira, especially given the persistent links to Thomas Partey. However, the Ghanaian, like Xhaka, is 27 and would cost €50 million, a fairly hefty chunk of the Arsenal budget. Plus, even if the Gunners could sign him, by the time their youngsters like Martinelli, Saka and Saliba are approaching 23 in their peak years, Partey would be well into his 30s and probably need to be replaced. Espanyol's Marc Roca has also been linked that he would be a more nimble younger Xhaka alternative, though with 0.4 dribbles a game, he certainly lacks Partey's ball carrying. While a record of 3.3 tackles and interceptions per 90 in a relegated side doesn't particularly stand out defensively. Instead, Arsenal could well consider Manuel Locatelli, who joined Sassuolo permanently in 2019 after a decade with AC Milan. 22 years old and 6'1", the Italian has plenty of time to improve and has helped the Nerazzurri to the edge of the Europa League race this season, with only 3 Sassuolo players racking up more minutes than him. On over 4 tackles and interceptions per match, Locatelli is clearly willing to work hard, but like Partey, he boasts a broad skill set. He actually passes into the final third around 7.4 times per 90, more than anyone at Arsenal, and he creates 2 chances per game as well as producing 5 league assists in 1920, just 1 fewer than Torreira, Ceballos, Xhaka and Guendouzi combined. Meanwhile, with 1.8 dribbles per match at a 78% success rate, Locatelli is one of the best central midfielders in Europe with the ball at his feet, and could surely reach Partey's mark of 2.2 dribbles per game in the 5 years it will take him to reach the Atletico man's current age. Good enough for the present and promising for the future, Locatelli is exactly the sort of signing Arsenal should be looking at, and having tried to sign him back in 2016 when he was 18, they could well still be monitoring him. Occupy the hole. Arsenal's critics will always point to the club's defence as the reason for their poor results, and that's fair enough, but since Arteta took over, it's arguably been the attack which has been just as much of a problem. Just 4 Premier League sides have conceded fewer goals than the Gunners since the Spaniard was appointed. And disappointments like the 1-1 draw with Leicester and 2-1 defeats away at Brighton and Spurs were arguably as much about Arsenal being unable to extend a lead or turn possession into chances as the long-standing fragility at the back. With the side now largely lining up in a 3-4-3, Arsenal do have a real creativity problem. There's now no space for a number 10 in the formation, putting the pressure to make chances on the wingers and the deep midfielders. And that's a real issue as, according to Arsenal analyst Scott Willis, the club's midfielders are creating just 0.9 chances per game this season, and that's not 0.9 each, that's combined. Meanwhile, the wingers don't help much either. Saka, Pepe and Aubameyang are often fielded in the wide spots, and of those, one is a teenager still learning his trade, the other is maybe too keen to dribble down blind alleys and gets dispossessed more than anyone else in the squad, and the third is a striker who wants to get on the end of chances, not make them. This is the reason Arteta has often fielded Lacazette, Nelson or even Ozil when they've been out of form or less talented alternatives. These three, unlike Saka, Aubameyang, Nketiah and Martinelli, are happy to receive the ball in between the lines and either retaining possession or find their teammates. When Arsenal's attack was still excellent 3 seasons ago now, Arsene Wenger had 4 players in Alexis, Ramsey, Ozil and Iwobi who all wanted to be on the edge of the box and averaged over 50 touches a game, keeping the club camped out in the danger zone. Now only Ozil can really do that, with Saka, Willock and Pepe all getting around 35 touches of the ball per 90, and Aubameyang in the low 20s. To show you what this looks like on the field, here's a heat map for Arsenal's 1-0 home win over West Ham under Arteta. And here it is in a 4-1 win over the same opposition in Wenger's poor final season. The number of touches is almost identical, but Arsenal no longer have the ball where they want it and are much less dangerous as a result. So the club clearly needs someone to occupy this central zone and be found by Xhaka, Luiz and Ceballos, as if he stays, as well as someone who represents a versatile threat able to run, shoot, create, but also willing to press when the ball is lost. That player could well be Emile Smith-Rowe one day, who spent the latter half of the campaign on loan at Huddersfield and looks another bright prospect. He creates over 2 chances a game, that's 11th in the championship, completes 2 dribbles and gets off 2 shots, as well as getting on the ball over 40 times a game, a promising mark at just 19 years old. However, the real solution could well be another championship player. With finances already quite limited, Saïd Benrahma wouldn't be the worst option. Already linked with Arsenal as well as Chelsea, the Algerian is now 24 and probably the second tier's best player, racking up over 24 goal involvements in the league for a second season running. Like Emile Smith-Rowe, Benrahma is getting over 40 touches per match, but he's mostly featured from the left this season, and that could probably go higher if he plays through the middle. He creates more chances than anyone at Arsenal with around 2.4, and last season that topped 3. In fact, for key passes, only 6 championship players sit above Benrahma, and he takes more shots than anyone in the division with over 4, a solid 2 of those coming from inside the box. And with players like Maddison and Buendia proving that you can transition nicely to the Prem in the last 2 years, there's a reason to believe he could maintain that output at the top level. So Benrahma is probably better stylistically than everybody in the Arsenal squad except Ozil in that role, and physically he's a major upgrade on the German too. 3.2 dribbles a match puts the former Nice man in the top 4 championship players this campaign, and in fact he's beaten his opponent more times this year alone than Ozil has since 2016. Reportedly available for under £30 million, Benrahma looks the ideal fit and is good enough and young enough to keep the Arsenal attack humming for half a decade to come. Add goals from wide. Though necessity has pushed him into playing 3 at the back, Arteta's early lineups were mostly 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s. The Spaniard trusted his centre-backs and midfielders to defend in space, he likely returned to the back 4. Now with our suggestion of Benrahma playing in the hole, that leaves a left wing slot available for an upgrade as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang can again go through the middle. The conversation about Arsenal's goal scoring this season has understandably focused on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and with a year left on his contract, it still remains to be seen what will happen to the Gabonese this summer. But Arteta might not be too hung up on buying a number 9 even if his captain leaves the club. Aubameyang, whilst one of the best strikers in the world, is not a forward who wants to drop deep and play with his back to goal when fielded out wide. He lacks the creativity and dribbling ability of a true winger, creating under 1 chance and completing under 1 take-on per 90. And while Lacazette, Nketiah and Martinelli are clearly not on the 31-year-old's level, they do offer a range of abilities which Arteta could mix and match depending on his opponents, if he could rely on Pepe and someone on the left to contribute in front of goal too. At 18, Saka probably isn't ready for the pressure of 50 games per season, so this wide spot is worth investing in, especially given the intriguing talent on this summer's market. Whilst Arsenal are unlikely to be able to afford the likes of Jack Grealish, Werder Bremen's Milo Rashica is reportedly available for under €30 million, following a season in which the Green and Whites finished 16th of 18 in the Bundesliga and only retained their top flight status through away goals in a relegation playoff. According to Understat's expected goals model, only Schalke and Fortuna Düsseldorf had worse attacks in 1920, and unsurprisingly, the team's struggles had an impact on the Kosovan's output, with his shots per game dropping from 3.4 to 2.9 and expected goals from 0.6 to 0.4 per 90. But despite the challenges, the 24-year-old still managed to rack up 13 goal involvements and has a decent blend of speed, balance, creativity and goal threat, which has seen him likened to Alexis Sanchez, a comparison which is sure to pique the interest of North London. The perfect age to both settle quickly and provide long-term value for the Gunners, he'd be a coup for the club if they could fight off RB Leipzig for his signature. A riskier proposition, though one with even higher upside, could well be a swoop for Memphis Depay, who missed the back half of the campaign with a cruciate ligament injury. Now set for a return in Lyon's remaining cup fixtures, the Dutchman will hope he can rediscover his form this autumn, which brought him 11 goal involvements in 13 matches before his knee sadly fell apart. That strike rate is far from abnormal for Depay, who has racked up 75 goals and assists in just 101 Ligue 1 appearances since he moved to France back in 2017, a rate of 1 every 99 minutes. A genuine all-rounder, he's played across the front line in that time and has averaged close to 4 shots and 3 chances created per game, as well as excelling for his national team with 11 goals in 16 matches for the Netherlands since 2018. Though he's unlikely to have the same acceleration and top speed straight off the injury table, at 26 Depay is young enough to recover fully from his injury, and at his best is a truly elite forward, something which Rashica and Saka may become, but certainly aren't yet. Capable of filling in as a centre forward too, he could present a solution in multiple positions for Arteta, and with a contract expiring in 2021 and a reported asking price of just €20 million according to some French outlets, which seems absolute madness, it does seem doable, even for cash-strapped Gunners. Having seen his reputation dented at Manchester United, the opportunity to show the Red Devils what he's capable of might well be too enticing for Depay to pass up. So that was our scout report on how to make Arsenal top 4 contenders again. What did you think of it, and what moves would you make if you were Mikel Arteta? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and as ever, don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye.